Hello, I'm Max. Welcome to my channel. In the last video, I have netbooted this device, Orange Pi 0. And in this video, I'm going to netboot Raspberry Pi 1. This is a very old device, and I'm gonna netboot it. Before we start it, there's something I forgot to mention in the last video. In last video, if you remember, we point our root file system to our NFS server hosted on the Open Media Vault server, and there is a export prefix to that NFS server. If you check on the web UI, NFS shares, there's no such prefix. But if you check the text file, if you check the text config file on our Open Media Vault, export, there is such export prefix to our NFS folder. So we need to put that in our path to make it work. Okay, now that's a site. So first thing we need is, of course, Raspberry Pi OS. You can download it in raspberrypi.com/software, and I will be using Raspberry Pi Imager. I'm using Linux, so I'm downloaded it, and I've already opened it. And with this open, the first option will select no filter, and then the second option we will scroll down. We don't want legacy. We will scroll down to Raspberry Pi OS other, and we will scroll down to Raspberry Pi OS Lite 32-bit, and you choose your storage. Okay, SD card has popped in. We will choose this device and hit next. And before we hit yes, we need to edit settings. In general, you need to add a user and a password. And in service, you need to enable SSH with password authentication. With this enabled, we can log in using SSH once we have network configured. Okay, and with that, we will hit yes. I have already flashed it, so I'm not gonna do it. And I will pop the SD card out. Okay. And I'm gonna plug that SD card into Raspberry Pi. Okay, it's in. And let's connect Ethernet cable. And let's power it on. Okay, seems it's booting. Let's go back to our screen. Go to our OpenWRT. And scroll down. Let's wait it to show up. Okay, I think I didn't plug the Ethernet cable correctly, but it showed up now. Let's SSH into our Raspberry Pi. Open another terminal and make the font bigger. Nope. The IP address is this one. Let's copy that. Okay, we have logged in. Why we use Raspberry Pi Imager instead of using the image downloaded here and burn it like before? Because the default Pi user was removed from the image and SSH service was not enabled by default. So if we want a default user and have SSH service enabled for us, we need Raspberry Pi Imager to do that for us. Okay. Okay, now we have logged in. Let's create a folder on mount NFS and mount-tfs. Address is 192.168.1.2, and to export netboot to mnt NFS, run it as root user and run it. Let's check. Okay, let's create a folder. Okay, let's create a folder called rpi root. Okay, let's copy files from our root file system to our NFS server. Rsync xap exclude and mount NFS and copy that. Copy from our root folder to mount NFS RPI root and go. Let's make our font smaller. And we can see our transfer progress. In the meantime, this is on the OpenMedia Vault server. Let's check. Okay, seems like files are transferring. Let's wait for it to finish. Okay, files are transferred. Let's go back to our OpenMedia Vault and go to boot folder and copy the entire boot folder to our TFTP server. Oh, let's click into OMV boot. Move that to TFTP. Yep. cd TFTP. Okay, this one. Okay, we have our boot folder. And let's go back to our camera. Oh, let's first power off our Raspberry Pi. Go back to our camera and unplug everything. Okay, lights are out now. Since our Raspberry Pi doesn't have a SPI flash like on our Orange Pi Zero, and To network boot, we will need another SD card, but the SD card we use for netboot doesn't have to be very big. We will use this 128 megabytes of SD card. Okay, let's pop that into our computer. SBC. It's this one. Let's format that. DB, SDP, P. Okay, let's create a DOS partition label and print and create new one. Everything we can keep that. Okay, let's change the signature to FAT32 and print. Did I change that correctly? Oh, it did it wrong. Type and set it to B and print and write. And let's format that partition as FAT. Give it a name is boot dev SDB1. Okay, let's mount that. Here we have boot. And make sure we have mounted. Yep. And let's put the file we need into our SD card. The file we need is in GitHub. Let's go to github.com, Raspberry Pi firmware. In boot, and we need is boot code.bin, which is this one. Open it in another tab and hit raw. I think we can save the link. Oh, we can hit download. Okay, save. Okay, downloaded it. Let's go to downloads, copy boot code, copy to our SD card. Okay, let's pop that out. And insert that back to our Raspberry Pi. And it's in now. And before we power on our Raspberry Pi, we need to know which file was requested from our Raspberry Pi. Okay, before we start our Raspberry Pi, we need to go to our Open Media Vault and change some settings so that we know what files are requested. Go to Services, TFTP, and we have already added the verbose extra options, so we don't need to change that. If you did not have this verbose options, we'll add this and save, probably apply our changes, and let's go to our command line. This is already logged in. Tell the var log syslog and grep tftp var log tail -f var log syslog grep tftp. Okay. Now I'm going to power on Raspberry Pi. Okay, seems like it will request this file, which is the serial number of our Raspberry Pi. Okay, now let's create files for this. And remember, we have the boot. We will rename this boot to this one. Nope. To this file. Copy and paste. And let's see our monitor our log again. Power off, power on. Oh, nothing. Oh, I know now. ELF. Okay, seems our files are not transferred. Then let's open another terminal. And copy files ourselves. Max boot. And let's call scp-r entire thing to 192.168.1.2 to here to let's enter EA file to this folder. Okay, and go. Oh, sorry, we need to specify our user, which is root. Let's see again, and we have the ELF files. Okay, let's monitor our logs again and power on our Raspberry Pi. Okay, it's requesting. Let's change our config .txt. Nope, but not this. Let's modify our command line, which is console equals serial 0 112.2.0.0, console equals tty1, root equals def nfs, nfs root equals 192.168.1.2. The path is export net boot and our serial number. Verse equals 3. Read write IP equals DHCP. Elevator equals that line and root wait. Okay. And now let's power it on. And open Beamon. And it's requesting TFTP files. And it's about to show up. Boot messages, yes. And it's loading. It's keep requesting files. Okay, now it's booted. Let's log in max and password is okay, I have logged in. There you can see the network activity. Okay, this is our very small SD card. We don't have that anymore. And we don't have that anymore. But let's try to SSH into it. SSH 192.168.1. Let's see, our IP address is 194. Here, 194. And we have logged in. Okay, this is how you network boot Raspberry Pi 1. That's it for this video. I will see you in the next video.